Joel, without further ado, we are going to transition here to our
Brewery Report.
Wisconsin Brewery Report.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to log the transition. I wanted the transition because it will actually help with the cut, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But instead, we will transition here to the Brewery Report and we will do some post editing. So that's not the Brewery Report. That is an awesome beer and an awesome collaboration. That go to McFushion's podcast, y'all, and find this one and listen to it. It's awesome. Joe, we will talk about the Great Dane, y'all.
Yeah.
So Great Dane Brew Pub. What's going on, Joe?
Well, so I know we covered it earlier this year when they closed their Wausau location. And then here a couple weeks ago, they announced that they are now closing their Hilldale location in Madison. And I guess with your boots on the ground there in Madison, you may have a better feel for it. The Wausau closing didn't really, I mean, you never like to see closures, but it wasn't one that necessarily bothered me a whole lot in terms of being concerned because it was out there on its own. Wausau's much more remote than all the other Great Dane locations here in Wisconsin are in and around Madison. This one, once you lose a second location in the same year, I don't think it's time to pull the fire alarm quite yet, but I think there can be some slight concerns. I mean, Great Dane has been around for over 3 decades. It is a staple of not just the beer community in Madison, but just the community there. So I don't know if you have any other intel on details behind it. They obviously talk about changing landscapes of retail and restaurant and all that. And that's all well and good, but I am hoping that this is not a sign of larger struggles within Great Dane, because I do think it is a great component of the Madison beer scene in its own right.
Yeah, so Speakeasy Greg here is about to chime in. So but my anecdotal evidence is your anecdotal evidence. Now under the comment section of when Great Dane said that they were closing the Hilldale thing, you will find what I'm exactly going to say. So I'm just regurgitating that, and I'm not being mean or anything like that. In that comment section, more than 30 or 40% cited that Great Dane's food has gone downhill, and that the beer wasn't ever really that great. So then it becomes a situation where there are places like Vintage, and even in that, is the Cafe Hollander still there? Really close. Or my point is that like these craft beer,
there's more competition.
Pubs, yes, and these brew pubs. Vintage has won, best brew pub of the year, literally. And so there's 2 Vintages in that area. And there's 2 Great Danes in that area too, because the downtown one is kind of close to Hilldale. So it's almost like there's a little oversaturation of Great Dane. And again, if people are chiming in on the food, because Great Dane, for those who are not in Wisconsin, and someone who grew up with the Great Dane as a craft beer drinker, who loved it, who started there, I'm telling you, I started there. My families have eaten Thanksgiving dinner there literally probably like 6 years in a row. And I'm not bullshitting. So like, I love the Great Dane. I love it like it's nostalgia. I can't get enough. When I was younger, I couldn't get enough of it. I learned a lot about it. I love the aspect that they each had at one point had a different brewer, Joel.
Yep.
They would brew different specialties. So then you would have to go to, and Great Dane was an OG. They were out there before we had the Giant Joneses and the Working Drafts, and the
way before,
and the Deltas, and the Full Miles, and the Octopies. They were there before all of that.
I mean, I was barely alive when they came into being.
So yeah, this stings. No matter what I just said about what people think about why they're going down, it stings. It wasn't great. The club that I'm in that puts on the Great Taste of the Midwest, really close ties to the Great Dane. We're always up in that one, especially that one. So yeah, it's just a lot, and it's sad, but ultimately it's market forces, I think. And yeah, I'm concerned a little bit, Joel.
Yeah, we'll see.
But we'll see.
if there's a third one, then I think it's time to pull the alarm. But we'll see.
So we're good on that.
So now just a little update here on Lombardi. I said that we were going to talk a little more on this. So
about Lombardi.
I just visited here last week with a friend here and went down and tried pretty much everything. Did half pour. So they had eight of their own beers, 7 on tap, 1 in the can pour. And then they also had guests. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Give our non-Wisconsin people a real quick summary about Lombardi and what like the evolution of Lombardi and what was there before. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, absolutely. I was gonna get there, and
my bad.
No, you're good. So Lombardi is in the old City Lights location, which is a historic building dating back to like 1900 something for the Milwaukee like Light and Power Company way back in the day. Beautiful old towering building that you can see from the freeway. And City Lights closed at the very beginning of this year officially. I think they announced in late 2024, I believe, right, Greg? But then they closed in Lombardi, they've brewed some beer in the past via so District 1 up in Stevens Point. Some of the ownership here is also part of District 1. Which is why you'll see some District 1 taps as guest taps for now until they continue to fill out the board. And then part of the ownership group is one of them is the nephew of former Green Bay Packer legendary coach Vince Lombardi, hence the name. Obviously, in the state of Wisconsin, that name carries about as much weight as any singular name possibly can. So I think that plays to a certain extent.
That's the damn truth.
Yeah. But yeah, so they had brewed, and then they had been looking for a location in Green Bay, I believe. And then that never really came to fruition. And then this kind of came open with City Lights closing, and they decided to go for it and just open up. They are not brewing there yet. It is so City Lights has a very big state-of-the-art system there that is currently still in bankruptcy. Community ownership. Yep. I think that's fair. We'll go with that. But so the system is still in bankruptcy. They do have a bid in on it. I talked with the folks there. So the plan is that they will be brewing there at some point. I believe that they will be, just distributing. They're already canning a lot of stuff. So I think that is going to come down the line. So both my friend and I know our good friend Chris Drosner, he went and drank the beer. And as I said, we pretty much went line for line on the beers on which ones we thought were good and which ones were full misses. And the Czech Pale Lager and the Czech Dark Lager were both very good. The Czech Amber was a full-on miss. Everything else was pretty solid. Like I said, the Golden Lager was solid. The Hefeweizen was pretty solid. Everything was very sessionable. I think the highest ABV beer on tap of the 8 was the Pale Ale at only 6% or 6 point something percent. And they will be making more beer though, because they did give me a taste. Because I was talking with them and they wanted, they were excited about everything, and they gave me they had not tapped it yet, but they had made a Belgian quad that was like 14 some percent, I think. So they are going to be doing big beers also. So I think they were just doing some lighter style stuff, all that kind of business. So, yeah, I think the shield is supposed to kind of be like the old school, like an NFL, because it does kind of look like the NFL shield, is my guess. Because it has the same kind of like the NFL along the top. That would be my assumption. But yeah, so I think there are some things to build off of for sure. I think, like I said, no matter what we think of some of the, logo. Like I said, I like the can art. I think the logo, definitely could use some tweak. But I think the brand itself is going to play right into the hands of so many Wisconsinites that as long as the NFL, yeah, I don't know. I would guess a shield is enough of like it's enough of like a common design, because it's not like they didn't use like, you know, an NFL football or anything in it. And they do have, and they obviously have permission to use the Lombardi name, because literally Lombardi, literally one of the nephew of Vince Lombardi is one of the co-owners. But anyway, I do think there's, you know, some stuff to build off of. Like I said, overall, the beers, there were some good ones in there. And I think they're still kind of figuring out their tap list and brewing also on a bigger capacity. So we will see, you know, how that all plays out. But I'm cautiously optimistic, I think, with this brand. I'm going to definitely be checking back in, because, again, it's hard when, like, as you know, a lot of times when you visit a brewery for the first time, like you run into breweries that are just out the gate. Like when I went to Fond du Lac, that are just knocking out of the park right from the get-go. But a lot of times, you know, breweries that are just brand new opening on these big systems, you know, all that kind of stuff, like it takes a little time to get, you know, everything where they want it to be, get recipes tweaked, get things sorted, especially considering they're, you know, they're not even brewing at their own facility right now. So, we'll see how it all shakes out. But yeah, that's
yes, sir. JHG does not like brand copying. This is kind of different than our normal brewery report, where we don't have people commenting generally. Sorry to divert the convo.
We've talked about the Lombardi branding a lot on the actual
and we asked for y'all's opinion, and I wanted to hear your opinion specifically, JHG, for reasons, you know. So then, not for long. So yeah, Joel. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun to follow that one. What's going on?
I'm excited. This? I'm excited. So this is Tailwinds opening up in Union Grove here very soon. We are excited about this one. This is the aviation themed brewery. I have to remember that the audience is a little bit different than our normal Badger Beer Report, trying to give a little more background. So Union Grove being due west, kind of a Racine, less than an hour from Milwaukee. And they are kind of on the cusp of getting things across the line. I actually just today interviewed Rick, the owner, had a really good conversation with him. You can expect that interview to come out across the Badger Beer Report channels. I don't know, sometime in the nearish future.
Like next week.
Said that there's still a few to several weeks out of officially opening. They have everything in place. I actually got to see some of it, you know, via, you know, on the video call. So they've got some really, really exciting stuff going on. But basically they just posted about getting all their permits done. They've got all of the serving tanks all set up. It is going to be a pretty nice shindig. They've got a guy there brewing who has over 3 decades of brewing experience. This is one that I think very well could hit the ground running in terms of they've already brewed multiple beers. What did he say they all had? They had an English mild, a hazy, a West Coast. What was the other one? I can't remember, but I know he's a huge fan of Belgian beer, so you can expect some Belgians as well as some German lagers, was my understanding. So, and this is another community similar to when we talk about Fond du Lac and some of the others that we're about to discuss that does not have a brewery, and everything that he told me was that the community is very excited about it, and they've all been very supportive and really rallied behind them. So, we will be on the lookout for an announcement, I think, in the coming weeks. And I hopefully, we'll either be able to get down there for the soft opening or be able to get down there shortly after that. So, and I guess, so this guy, Rick, he actually worked for his entire career, basically for, 3 decades as an executive chef for United Airlines. And that's why they have all this, they have tons and tons of airline memorabilia. And then he and his wife started a beer travel company that they would take people on tours to Belgium and Scotland and Ireland to breweries and beer trips, all this kind of good stuff. So, I think it's a very, very exciting project and all new build stuff. And I know you and I will both be excited when we finally get there.
Yeah, I love the being an astrophysicist kid in college. I love and I went to a flying school, so I love the whole flying thing. And it's amazing. So it's gonna be great. And y'all will see the That'll come out next week for sure. We'll get
Yeah.
that out. And actually, now I really want to see the video because now I want to see what's going on. I'm nosing.
Oh, you don't get to see a ton of it, but he does turn it towards the end. You get to see like all
Cool.
the serving because they have the serving tanks, like the beer is going directly into into tanks for serving. So you're not getting it. They're not doing like kegs and stuff. They are serving it directly from serving tanks. So yeah.
Yeah, that play. Yeah. All right, Joel. So what do we have next, buddy?
Boulder Junction, we have a little update. They are on a very similar, they've been on a similar timeline. I actually talked with Rick about this. Boulder Junction, another brewery in a small community. This one way up in the North Woods, about as far north as you can get. And they've been on a similar timeline, and they are getting closer. You can see there that they have their whole tap list board. That I think most of the interior at this point is all done. They're just having to work on some electrical stuff, but this is, when we were talking to Bobby, we were talking about, I think we've still got a handful they're going to open before the end of the year. Tailwinds is one. Boulder Junction is another that we believe are going to get across the finish line here in the coming month or so. So yeah, I think that should be real brief update. I know we don't have the same Wisconsin focused centric fans, so we don't need to dive too deep into all the updates, but that's where we're at right now. Should be yeah.
Is that good or is that sarcasm?
It's definitely sarcasm.
All right. Well, here we go with this.
And then MobCraft. This is just kind of we discussed this last time. They're officially back open. They have been. It's very great to see them be part of the community again. They still have majority, I believe, of their beers are still guest taps. They only have, I think we discussed this. They're slowly working in their own beers into the tap list as they kind of ramp up production. But yeah, I think that is, go check out MobCraft if you're back in the Milwaukee area.
Welcome back, MobCraft. They were a resurrected brewery, y'all. They went out of business for people who don't know, and now they're back.
Someone from the the financial person went and then bought it, so they had a front row seat to the decisions that were made and not made, and they now have their shot at it. So, and now another one that we think is going to be opening up here very soon, Greg, or not necessarily very soon, but hopefully before the end of the year. Brewed Omen, which is a really neat story for people that aren't familiar. So they've been a craft beer bar for several years now, and they decided to start brewing some of their own beer to have on tap. And so they built out a brewery in the basement, and they have been slowly chugging away. I believe we talked with them. They're getting closer. They had, they're going to be able to begin brewing here very soon. I know we'll be invited for the, I don't know, was that in reference to Brewed Omen or the MobCraft one? I thought that might have popped up before, or was I don't know. But anyway, they this is one that will be invited to the soft opening, and I'm curious to see how it looks, because this is a rare instance where it's in a very established business, an established clientele base in downtown Hartford, and been successful and very well run to what at least from our perspective. And so now adding their own brewing on top of it, I think is a really cool viewpoint. So
JHC, hold on.
Yeah.
I talked to Kyle from Brewed Omen, so I'd like to make a comment on that. But also JHC, confirm this, please. You're talking about Brewed Omen, right? Solid logo. So I do have to correct my colleague here real quick. Not really, just a soft one. So when Brewed Omen was founded, apparently that's when they wanted to do the brewery, and it's just taking this long to go from point A to point B. And they're, as you said, I talked to Kyle, who is soon to be brewmaster, but he is the curator of their list, and he is their taproom manager.
How long? So when did they open? Do you know? Did you ask that?
Brewed Omen's like 4 years old or
I
something.
knew it'd been several years, but I couldn't
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, 3 or 4, and then the plan for the brewery was always in there, but they've been long term with it, thinking Joel. But there's also been like different things they wanted to put it in there, and they wanted to put it in the place that they have, but then they couldn't put it in there, so then they bought the place next door. If you remember,
Oh,
it's this
hmm.
big, like long, epic. One day we will have that full story for y'all on that Brewery Report for sure.
Hmm.
Because wants to tell the story, and I actually really want to hear it. I've heard most of it because I've had the most correspondence with Kyle.
Yep.
But I would have to say, and I told him yesterday that I fully believe that you've always been more energized about this one than I have. And I'm as energized with you, but early on you were like, dude, this is good. This might be a good one. Let's keep an eye on this one. I mean, we're going to keep an eye on everything, but you were
Yeah,
really
that's what
enthusiastic
we
about
do.
Brood. So yeah, what's up? What's going on? Yeah, I just wanted to say that. And also, yeah, like Joel said, really soon they're going to be able to make that turn. I can't give out any more information because I'm trying to be a journalist-ish
Yeah,
person.
off
I
the
was
record.
told some things off the record, a lot of things off the record, actually. Brood Omen is soon, and it's going to be awesome. For those in Hartford, Wisconsin, which is how far from Milwaukee, Joel? Ish.
I'm in Glen, so it's about a little over half an hour probably from downtown Milwaukee,
Ish.
but not much.
Okay, yeah.
Probably about half
So
an hour
it's
ish.
Milwaukee-ish, y'all. So it's in
Yeah.
a good spot. So what's going on with not near Milwaukee, Joel?
Yeah. Speaking of breweries that we just we try to keep our tabs on everything. This is one that just kind of has been like, we didn't get any information for selling. It's just Lost Apostle up there in Washburn, about literally as far north as you can get
It's
in
Canada.
Wisconsin. Yeah. I mean, uh, and we didn't really hear anything from them. We had our friend Bill go through and drive by and see, oh yeah, no, they've made a little progress in the building. Well, they're now trying, they're apparently hiring a taproom manager, and I'm not exactly Sherlock Holmes here, but if they're looking to hire a taproom manager, that would make it seem like they are making more progress than we anticipated, Greg. Because we did not envision that they were very close for a long time, because they hadn't really posted about anything, and then all of a sudden things just kind of pop up here. And yeah,
Well, yeah. It's good news. This is another brewery that's been in y'all.
works
This
for a
has
long
been
time.
in for like 4 years, 4 or 5 years. They had like all kinds of weird things going on.
They were trying to rebuild a building, and then the building had to be torn down.
And then it collapsed, and
Uh-huh.
something collapsed, and it was just a whole. It's a whole epic story.
Yeah.
And I don't know. At some point, we're gonna try to contact them and get that whole epic story because that shit's epic.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is epic, but this came.
No.
We got a tip from a very reliable source who we won't name, but we get tips.
Yeah, we do. And this just kind of came out of left field. We don't even know how legit it is, but we figured it's worth throwing out there once. And if we can get more information, we will. And if we don't, then that'll be it. But the Iron Nugget in Hurley, Wisconsin has called themselves a brew pub, and they never had their own beer, but they had like brewing equipment. Well, apparently our source said that they more recently, now there is an active brewing permit there registered, and they have a picture of the brewing equipment on their website with brewery opening soon. So this is a restaurant that we think may potentially be opening a brewery. And this is another one that is up there as far north as you can get, pretty much, except instead of Canada, you I think, Greg, you said that, you can basically spit and hit the border with the Upper Peninsula up there. So yeah, this is just one that we're going to put in the tickler file, kind of just in the save for later box, see if anything comes of it. But this is a situation where, unlike a lot of the breweries that we've been discussing, this is similar to Brewed Omen, at least, but not like the other ones. This is an established business. So if they have the equipment there, this isn't going to be a 1, 2, 3 year buildup. So if this ends up being legit, it could be something that moves a lot faster. So we'll see what shakes out. Not going to hold my breath, but it's good to have that information. And yeah, keep our eyes on it, just like we do with everything else.
Yeah, y'all. It's probably like a 3-minute walk from there to the Michigan to Michigan. So it's really up there. And also, at the further review on the website, I know they call themselves a brew pub, and they can identify Joel however they want. But I got more gastropub vibes. If that makes sense.
I get
like
that.
better food.
They have a huge food menu that sounds really. At least reading the menu sounds really good.
Sure. And we, Joel's read a lot of mother effing menus, y'all, going to all these breweries, so he knows what a good menu looks like. But yeah, that gave me gastropub
I get
vibes,
that,
which is really, gastropub to me is elevated food. Like, it's better food. And then the beer Keerless is somebody really messed with the beer Keerless. So my long-winded point is that that's really good hope for a brewery, because they already have this higher standard of food. They're like, no, we're not putting anything out that's bad. And I've never been there, but you can just tell by the whole menu, Joel, like what kind of thing you're getting into. So high hopes for that one, Joel. Even though we found that out like 2 minutes before the broadcast.
Yeah, and I could just see that being a place that makes 3 to 4, maybe 5 of their own beers, tossing them out there with the other stuff. But still counts. And yeah, so here are our typical things to keep an eye on. The one that I would say that we're really close-ish, there's 2 here that are closest, Radix and Derriere, close-ish. Radix, last we heard from them when I talked with them was thinking maybe November-ish. Yeah, Dan, trust me, we've had this conversation and the other thing. Greg, are we gonna go fully off kilter here? Or are we gonna keep it? We're gonna keep it Badger Beer Report ish, right?
No, keep going here. Keep going. We can.
Mm-hmm. But Radix, we have very high. Radix makes phenomenal beer. Opening up in Cudahy, just south of Milwaukee. They were thinking hopefully November, late, early winter. My guess is going to be maybe more into the 2026 range, but we'll see. But that is one that I personally am very excited for. And yeah, you said you wanted to provide a little update on Derriere.
Oh yeah. Derriere is going on. The same thing's going on with Brew Dome. And the Brew Dome update, y'all, was that they got their electricity going on the brew system. So that means that they can start brewing, and y'all know what that means. That means that we're gonna have breweries soon. And Derriere is in that same area where they had problems with their electricity and all that. They absolutely might have a Hefeweizen, actually.